Aye. I'll begin by reading into the record the nomination letter presented to us by the governor. The nomination letter dated July 2nd to the governor's counselor. Dear counselors, I am pleased to nominate Joanna Rodriguez to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm enclosing the nominee's resume for your convenience. Sincerely, Mara T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth. At this time, I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Rodriguez, for you to introduce who you have here in support of you, and then we'll give the floor over to your witness.
Thank you very much. With me today, I have my two sons, Jordan and Pablo, and my husband, who's coming here to support me, and also my wonderful witness, Gloria Tan, who is an Associate Justice of the Appeals Court.
Thank you so much. At this time, Ms. Tan, I'll invite you to the dais to give your witness statement.
Thank you. So good morning, counselors. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today to speak on behalf of my friend and former colleague, Judge Joanna Rodriguez. So I know many of you. I was here myself for my own hearing last year. And but before that, I was a juvenile court judge for almost 12 years. And the last 5 of those years, I was the presiding first justice in Middlesex County. And that's where I got to know Joanna. Not only was I first justice in Middlesex, but I also was assigned to be Joanna's judicial mentor. All new judges are assigned mentors for the first couple of years. And so I had the pleasure of serving as Joanna's mentor. And Joanna came on at a time, she came on the fall of 2020. And that was, as you can all imagine, a very challenging time because the courts were, still figuring out how to best hear cases while maintaining, social distancing. And we were actually hearing at that time, all of our cases were being heard on Zoom. And so not only was Joanna adjusting to being a judge, but she also was figuring out, how do we hear cases and the technology. And I was with Joanna from her first day, actually, and she spent the first week of her being a judge with me. And I had firsthand, I could see from right away, day one, that she was a natural. She treated everyone, treats everyone with respect, with dignity, not just litigants and attorneys, but what I think is just as important is court staff. And she has a wonderful temperament. And you can imagine in juvenile court, we hear many difficult cases. Every case is difficult. Every case that comes before us is challenging. You're dealing with young people who suffer from mental health issues, adults, parents who have, suffering from substance abuse addictions. And Joanna treats them, everyone comes before her, like I said, with dignity and empathy as well. And I think it puts her in a really good position to make a very smooth transition to the district court. Not only does she have 5 years of being a judge, but she also has many years of practicing in the district court as a defense attorney. And the district court, every year, they have a training conference. And so all the district court judges are at this conference for a couple of days, and they reach out to the other court departments and ask if any other judges would be willing to fill in, sit in the first session, hear arraignments, restraining orders, any emergencies that come in. Joanna always volunteered, and she, from what I understand, did an excellent job. The district court loved her, and she loved doing that. And so, managing a courtroom is not easy, especially in a busy district court and juvenile court. You're dealing with sometimes people dysregulating in front of you, clerks are handing you forms to sign, probation, the court officers are trying to get your attention, give you reports, and attorneys are making arguments, and not everybody is able to handle that. But Joanna never loses her cool. She's calm. And furthermore, she's fair, she's balanced, she's thoughtful about cases. She would call me every now and then and sort of say, hey, I'm thinking about this case, and I could tell she, could identify exactly what the issues were, wanted to work through them and try her very best to come to the right decision and to apply the law to the facts before her. And so I am conflicted a little bit. It's a little bittersweet because when Joanna first told me that she had applied, I was happy for her because I want her to do, what she to be happy in what she's doing. But I know that it's going to be a huge loss to the juvenile court, and they're going to miss her very much. But I know that the district court is hopefully, with your vote, is going to get an excellent judge. She's going to be perfect for the district court. So thank you so much for having me here today. And if I can answer any questions, I'm more than happy to.
Yes, Counselor.
Have you seen the turnover in the juvenile court since you left?
Yes, in fact, I don't want to say the wrong number, and maybe other people here know, but I want to say it's at least, I think I'm right about this, at least 10 since I left. And in my county,
It's probably more than that since you left at this point.
yeah.
That'll make it like 12 or 13. Do you think maybe we should leave her there for a while, just to, so we have some experience in there?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, certainly, but hopefully there'll be new.
How's the appeals court?
It's great. Yeah, it's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Good to see you, Judge.
Counselor Arnella.
No questions, just a comment. It's good to see you again, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. Thank you, Justice. At this time, I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Rodriguez, to give your statement.
Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll for this nomination. Being nominated to the district court is a tremendous honor, and I would like to thank Chief Justice Forts and Chief Justice Gershengorn for their support during this process. Thanks to all of you, governors, counselors, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with me, and I enjoyed our thoughtful conversations. Thank you to the JNC for their professionalism during the vetting process. I would also like to thank Chief Legal Counsel Jesse Badu and also Deputy Legal Counsel Dara Kesselheim for their support and guidance. I would also like to thank Sonia Altamirano and her team for their gracious assistance. Also, a special thanks to the hard workers from the Lowell Juvenile Court, especially my court officer, Christy, and my administrative assistants, Mary Ann Lissette, and my wonderful law clerk, Millie, who I know are watching from the office today, so get back to work. Lastly, but most importantly, I would like to thank my husband, Rennie, for his support and encouragement to pursue my dreams. I also like to thank my two sons who are sitting behind me, Jordan and Pablo. Pablo is a sophomore at Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute studying nuclear engineering and a self-proclaimed chess master. And Jordan serves as a state trooper for the Massachusetts State Police, currently assigned at the Medford Barracks. With two handsome emerging adults living in my home, and with almost 5 years of experience sitting on the bench in juvenile court, both have equally helped prepare me for the possibility of this appointment to district court. My children have taught me patience, compassion, and have molded my judicial temperament. Juvenile court has taught me to search for the underlying trauma behind behavior and to be creative in sentencing to address each person's individual needs. To tell you a little bit about my background, I'm the true definition of a New Yorican. My mother was born in Maya West, and my father was born in Utuado, Puerto Rico. They moved to the States with the dream of a better life, and I was born in New York City. When I was about 5 years old, our family moved to South Jersey so my parents could work in the casinos. As a young girl, I always wanted to be a state trooper, so I applied to Rutgers University, the same school that my older brother was attending. And while at Rutgers, I interned at the Middlesex County Public Defender's Office. My role as a bilingual investigator was vital to helping me find my mission in life. I learned that judges and attorneys do not reflect the population of the people it served. And while interviewing victims, witnesses, and sometimes defendants, I was overcome with the sense of gratitude that finally someone understood them. I knew this was my calling. I knew I wanted to help people, and I knew I wanted to make a change. With a gentle nudge from my mother, she convinced me to be an attorney because they have better work hours than troopers, and I was great since I loved to argue. And after graduating from Rutgers, I was accepted into law school in Massachusetts. I packed my gold 1985 Toyota Corolla hatchback with all of my belongings, and I drove along to Massachusetts. I had no family in Massachusetts. I never even visited the state, but I recall printing on MapQuest directions from South Jersey to Haverhill. Upon my arrival, the landlord took one look at me and refused to rent the apartment, and I found myself homeless. I refused to return home. What should have been the most exciting time of my life, I found myself with no place to sleep and no place to shower. And after a few weeks of living in a car, I finally found an apartment in Lawrence. During my third year of law school, while preparing for the bar exam, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and passed away 6 months later. The passing of my father had a tremendous impact on my outlook on life, and as difficult as it was losing a parent to cancer, I learned to appreciate that life is short, not to take things for granted. I learned to value the time I have with my mother, and I also learned to make the most out of each day. And despite all of my challenges I faced, I passed the bar exam the first try. Initially in my career as an attorney, I practiced several areas of law and finally found my passion when I became a bar advocate in 2007 at the Lawrence District Court, accepting cases for the indigent. While working in Lawrence District for almost 13 years, I used my own hardships to connect with the struggles of indigent clients. My hard work did not go unnoticed, and in 2018, a judge advised me to submit my application for judgeship. I never thought it would happen, but my husband encouraged me, saying, "Just try." In 2020, I was honored and humbled by this council's appointment to the juvenile court bench. My appointment to the bench occurred during the height of the pandemic, and as difficult as it was, I've always felt supported by amazing First Justice Gloria Tan, who's here today, and my fellow judges. Juvenile court has taught me the important tools to be a great judge. First, always search for the underlying trauma behind behavior. Second, be creative in sentencing to address the person's needs. And third, ensure that each person is treated with dignity and respect in your courtroom. Today, I seek your support to return to the district court for 2 reasons. First, I would like to make more of an impact on our emerging adults. And secondly, if given the opportunity, I would apply the tools that I've learned in juvenile court to the district court. When I first applied to the bench, I thought I needed to be perfect. But what I realized was that my own personal experiences have made me a better judge. I look forward to continuing to serve the people of the Commonwealth. I hope to gain your support in this nomination, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you for your statement. At this time, I'd like to see if there are any additional persons wishing to speak in favor of this nomination. Anyone wishing to speak unopposed to this nomination? Seeing none, we'll close that portion and we'll turn it over to counselors to pose question of you. Counselor Kennedy.
I didn't vote for you. Leo Farmer and Honor Siegel would kill me. They both mentioned you a lot. As you know, many years ago, your husband and father put my driveway in. It's starting to crack a little bit. You think maybe we could get them up?
Good work on it.
I'm gonna vote for you. Yeah, I already know everything about you, so I'm good.
Counselor DePaulo.
Thank you. Good morning. Congrats on your nomination. I'll be honest, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. You have impeccable reputation in your current role. I'm disappointed that you're leaving juvenile, to be honest with you. I think representation is very important there, especially. And you got appointed just before I joined the council, which is too bad. But I just wanted to ask you 1 or 2 questions. You mentioned emerging adults. Obviously, you're aware of what the folks in juvenile court experience. How does that, how is that going to carry over to your district position?
Sure. I just recently went to a training in California with regards to the science of emerging adults and the brain matter and the risks and the behaviors.
Are there any new takeaways for you from that?
No,
I'm sure you're pretty familiar, right?
I am. And the juvenile court does an excellent job in training with regards to the science behind some of the behavior that we have. And so we do have trainings on a regular basis. So I wasn't completely surprised. What I was surprised is it was a national training, and to realize how far ahead Massachusetts is in comparison to some of the southern states, was surprising. But I think as far as our court, I think they do an excellent job. The things that I would take away or bring, or the tools that I would try and use, is understanding that sometimes when people behave in a certain way, there's usually a reason or an underlying cause behind it. I think it's important, especially in district court, to take the time to address the person before you, listen to what the issues are, and then hopefully try and structure some kind of positive or implement some kind of positive condition that would benefit them. I mean, the goal for every court, whether it's juvenile or district, is not to have them come back through the door, right? We want to prevent crime and we want to address their needs. And I think I would be able to use the tools that I've learned on the bench for the last 5 years for that purpose.
What's an example of a creative decision you made that addressed underlying causes of a child's behavior?
One of is which is really outside the box. I had a juvenile, and this is obviously in juvenile court, and I don't necessarily think I would apply it in district, but there was a juvenile that went to somebody's house, like a whole entire street, and broke every single pot with the flowers. It was just a complete disregard. They charged him with malicious destruction of property. Rather than give that juvenile a criminal record, I gave him judicial diversion, and I also made him return the favor by buying new pots with his own money, not his parents' money, planting flowers for each one of the persons that he broke. And I also made the attorney take photographs to make sure that it actually happened. So that was like one creative way, but that I obviously know it would be something in juvenile court, but it's me thinking outside the box. It's me having that opportunity to do something different. And maybe it was just a dumb mistake, but I feel like as if using his own money and using his work and his effort in order to make that happen, hopefully taught him a lesson.
Sounds like a great example of restorative justice. The Emerging Adult Court of Hope, are you familiar with that?
No,
Will you endeavor to get familiar with it?
I would love to. I would love to. I definitely, I'm very humble. I don't know everything, that's for sure. But yeah, but I would.
Although I'm not surprised about South being behind us, I will say.
I'd say in Lowell Juvenile Court, one of the resources that we use is like youth build, youth tech. I know in Southern, or I should say closer to Boston, they have ROCA. There's tons of programs that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you to your son for his service to the Commonwealth. And I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Counselor Jacobs.
Thanks. It's good to see you again. I don't have a ton of questions for you today either. I have a couple that I'll offer, mostly just for those interested who are watching, because we talked about so many things in a very I really enjoyed the conversation that we had, and we touched on so much, and I really got to know you in a way that makes me feel very confident that this is going to be a very lucky transition for district and a sad, bittersweet move for juvenile. I think where I want to focus today is kind of the bridge between what the work that juvenile does and the work that district does, because in my mind they're not the only places, but they are two of the courts where there's really an opportunity to shift the person's direction, their trajectory in terms of, the negative spiral that's brought them to court. Maybe the court has an opportunity to, through resources and diversionary programs and creative, to follow up on what Councilor Paul was just saying, creative approaches to justice that can really be that lever for someone to be able to successfully re-engage with life and find a new path forward. And towards those ends, I'm fascinated by the work that's being done out there, thinking about ways in which our courts can evolve and become even more effective towards helping people to restore recover from substance, mental illness and trauma and really get back onto a forward successful path. And I think we talked a little bit about the family approach that has been started to be implemented at the probate and family court side and some bridge work towards juvenile. And I think it's an interesting approach that to me has a place beyond a family court setting or even a juvenile court setting where clearly families are primarily, most centered in those courts, but in district court, there's a family and a community that's impacted and possibly enabling and otherwise in a similar way. Like the dynamics to me are the same, even though the age is different. And so I'm just curious about your thoughts about what your views are on what currently is in place from particularly around mental health and substance use, the diversionary specialty courts there, your interest possibly in being involved in presiding on one of those courts. But then honestly, mostly your thoughts about where we could be doing better.
I think that's a great question. I think as you already know, we discussed at our meeting, is that juvenile court is almost like a specialty court in itself, addressing some of the issues that arise, whether it's family-based or juvenile-based or providing support for families. It's a really important tool that I could use when going to district court. One of my hopes, I should say, is when we talk about emerging adults, that's a large population of people that commit crimes in the district court. And I feel like as if we could address their underlying issues in the same fashion that the juvenile court does, whether that be diversion in some way that would address their underlying trauma. Trying to involve more families would be wonderful to support that person going forward. I think those are all excellent ideas. I'd be happy to do that. I know the district court has several different, we have mental health court, there's drug court, there is, I know there was mentioned possibly starting the homeless court, a ton of specialty courts that would really benefit people. And I think if we could add to the list, and I'd be happy to help, an emerging adult court as well, to try and just to address their needs. I know even though I would love that, I obviously don't make those type of decisions, but I would hopefully try to encourage it if it was.
Oh, I appreciate that. The BMC has a homeless court that I would love to see that exist. I mean, homelessness is an issue across the state. Obviously, Boston has a concentration and a population that is unique in the state, but the emerging adult court of hope, there may be more than one, but I know the first one, at least, maybe the only one, is in Springfield, and I definitely encourage you to learn more about what they're doing. And it's definitely a partnership, a multi-pronged partnership with the DA, with ROCA, and identifying emerging adults who qualify for the type of crime that qualifies to be in that court is at a certain level. But it's a really intense program that is I encourage you to learn more about it. It's a very cool court. No, I appreciate all of that. Just as a secondary, we talked a little bit about it. We didn't talk a lot about it, but I know, especially, and probably not especially, probably across the state, but the conversation around bail and the impact that bail setting, the level that is set can have on a person's life is one of those complicated community debates with people on opposite sides with very different views on what the role of bail should be and the impact, understanding or not understanding the impact that it can have. So I'm just curious about, particularly coming from juvenile court where it's not really so much an issue, your thoughts around bail setting and how you would approach it.
Sure, there's a presumption that they should be released on personal, and obviously the district attorney's office may ask for bail for a multitude of reasons, and the court needs to take into consideration their ability to pay, right? And how much income do they have, and also their history of default. Bail isn't to ensure that someone gets held, it's actually just to ensure that they return to court. And so if they don't have any history of defaults, there's no reason why the court should, in that particular situation, set bail. But in juvenile court, we set bail all the time. Not all the time, I should say, but it's not very often. But we have that tool if necessary. But in juvenile court, I think the goal for us is always diversion or trying to prevent a juvenile from getting a record. But my point is that it's available to us, and have I used it in the past? Yes. But it's something that even in juvenile court or even in district court, I would try to use in a fashion just to make sure that someone actually returns.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate that. I don't have more questions for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Counselor Dolan.
Thank you so much. Judge Rodriguez, it's so wonderful to see you. We go way back. We practiced in Lawrence District Court at the same time. We didn't work together. We worked alongside one another, and you were always very professional. I was always very impressed with you. I hadn't seen you since then, so it's wonderful to see you again. I really appreciated and enjoyed the conversation that we had. And I just want to point out to everyone that Dominique and I have something very prestigious in common. We were both evidence Jeopardy champions at our law school under now Dean Michael Coyne. And so very impressed with you for also being an evidence Jeopardy champion. And you're bilingual, you speak Spanish, which I think is a wonderful quality. And I thank you for bringing up homeless courts, and for Counselor Jacobs also for talking about homeless courts. I just want to point out that homeless courts were started as a pilot program under Deval Patrick. He established 2 homeless courts. Here we are in 2025. We still have 2 homeless courts. And as you know, from having practiced in Lawrence and working as a judge in Lowell, of course, there are many homeless folks and homeless and unhoused folks in those communities. And the homeless have special needs, which I think courts need to be sensitive to. And I'm sure that you understand all that. So I don't have many questions for you. I just do want to point out something that you had cited in your application, which was a decision by Judge Lynn Rooney, where she allowed a motion to dismiss for failure to produce exculpatory evidence, which I think is incredibly important. Can you tell us about that? You told me that the defendant had been in custody for 87 days. Can you just talk about that issue and your approach as a judge?
Sure, it was an armed robbery that happened in Lawrence. And my client was eventually ID'd and arrested and held underneath dangerousness. What happened was the Lawrence Police Department actually had an identification that happened that the witness did not ID him in. They didn't produce it to us. They didn't provide it to us. We had requested exculpatory evidence, and whether it was the DA's office or the police officers that were handling the case never turned over that information. Eventually, after, I don't know, 89 days, not having that information or being provided that information, we presented a motion to Judge Rooney in Lawrence District, notifying her of the exculpatory evidence that was held. And she dismissed the case. And it was great. I mean, obviously the clients were so happy that these people, you know, it was him and a co-defendant were or not identified. But the fact that the evidence was withheld and not provided to counsel, which is a rule that needs to be followed by whether it's from the DA's office or the police officers, she had the courage to dismiss it. And so I commend her for that.
Thank you so much. I commend you for that. As I'm sure you know, failure to disclose exculpatory evidence is a raging issue in our courts right now. It is critically important that judges show the courage of Judge Lynn Rooney, and as you will, as a district court judge. And I think that your having served in the juvenile court will make you an even better district court. I have no further questions. I'll be voting for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Counselor. And so I'll be closing it up. We had a lovely conversation. Oh, sorry, apologies. Counselor Ianella. No, he normally doesn't have many questions, so I'm like, okay.
Invisible counsel.
He's
Eager to talk to you. That's what it was.
Go ahead, Counselor Ianella.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions. Well, you have a great nominee like this. Why ask the question? Is everyone in this body is gonna vote for her? Everyone's gonna vote for her. Why waste everyone's time? I'm not gonna waste people's time. You're a great candidate. You were here a few years back and a lot of questions were asked of you at that point. So why waste your time? Like I said, you're a phenomenal candidate. When your name comes before the council, you can count on my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And Counselor Civil has just joined us, so wanted to give her opportunity to pose questions if she has had some. Okay. She does not.
That's quick.
That's it.
She spoke on the phone recently, so.
I'll waste your time.
Thank you so much, counselors. And so, as was mentioned by many of the counselors, we do have a great candidate before us. Judge Rodriguez and I had few lovely conversations, both over the phone and in person, as we were getting prepared for this hearing today. Her resume speaks for itself, her experience speaks for itself. In the statements by First Justice Tan, you could see that she brings a creative and very thoughtful lens and approach to her work, which is very refreshing. We need more judges on the bench, especially in district court, that can think outside the box, as she has proven both in her questionnaire and in her statement today. During our conversation, we talked about how to make the court more efficient and resources that may prove helpful to the court. Judge Rodriguez, we spoke about the diversion program in the juvenile court and how that has proven to be helpful in all your experience in working with understanding and identifying community resources that could be beneficial to those who come before you in the courtroom. And should you be confirmed, that would come before you in the district court. Can you just speak to your main goals, should you be confirmed for the district court?
Sure. My main goals would make sure that everyone that came before me, I would treat them with dignity and respect. I have a policy that I do in juvenile court now, is I make sure that I listen to every single person. I try and keep an open mind. I think sometimes coming from an attorney background, you think you know the answer, but I think it's so much more beneficial to make sure that you keep an open mind, not think about what the answer is going to be, but allow the attorneys to present to you their arguments and be open in that. In addition, I would hope that I could make a positive impact with the emerging adults that would come before me to try and put them in the right trajectory. I find that to be very rewarding, and I would hope to continue to do that in district if given the opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate your response. I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing your story. And I find that to be immensely helpful because it proves to me, one of the things that's important to me is that candidates that we have before us can demonstrate an ability to lead from the bench with empathy. And you've done so. So I'm more than happy to support your nomination, and I encourage my fellow counselors to vote an emphatic yes next week when we vote on your nomination for district court. And with that, we will adjourn this hearing.
Thank you. It is that. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Let's open the session. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ianella for prayer and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you very much. We seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decision with impartiality. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To recognize Counselor Dolan. A motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Okay. Motion passes. The ayes have it. I recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending lists of notaries public and justices of the peace.
So moved, Governor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposition? Motion passes. All right. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ianella for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Andrew L. Don Jr. to the position of Associate Justice of the Juvenile
Thank
Court.
you very much. Make the motion to approve Andrew L. Don Jr. as an Associate Justice of the Juvenile Court.
Second.
Let me ask, any further discussion? I ask Sonia to call the roll.
Counselor Sigler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor DePaulo,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs. Yes. Counselor Ferrera,
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Ianella.
Yes.
8 members voting in the affirmative.
Yes.
The vote carries. Thank you. I'd like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Lisa S. Core to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court.
Make the motion for the appointment of Lisa Court as an Associate Justice of the District Court and an excellent nominee. Second.
Any further discussion? Sonia, would you please call the roll?
Counselor DePaulo,
Yes.
Counselor Jacobs,
Yes.
Counselor Ferrera,
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Ianella,
Yes.
Counselor Sigler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
8 members voting in the affirmative, the vote carries. Thank you. And we have 3 new nominations. Lauren Green to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. Counselor Civil, do you have a date and time for the hearing?
July 30th,
Great. Excellent.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, yes.
William J. Powers to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. Counselor Jacobs, do you have a date and time for the hearing?
We'll be getting back with the time.
Great. Hector E. Zimbato to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. Counselor Kennedy, you have a date and time yet?
Oh, we have one for the 30th? So why don't we do that one at 1 o'clock on the 30th?
Great. Well, thank you. And I always, I'm always stirred every time coming in here, sitting below Sam Adams and thinking about all that's transpired in this room and the work of this council through centuries. It's remarkable. Thank you. Thank you very much for all your work, particularly on these judicial appointments. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate it. Many thanks to Dara and the team. We'll continue to try to move things as quickly as we can.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, and I hope, and thank you. You're working hard all through the summer. No rest for the weary.
Do I look that tight?
How's your granddaughter?
Hmm? Oh, she's great. She made fun of me this morning.
Good?
Called me bald.
What? Calls you bald?
Two. She's already making fun of me.
Have an easy target.
Well, that's sounds like she's in a of a healthy temperament. That's good. All right, well, have a good afternoon, and I noticed yeah, Lauren Green will be back in this room soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, right?
We're all
Nomination.
looking forward to that.
Yes, she's awesome.
I have to say, all the folks that, we interviewed that I nominated, I mean, I've loved all of them. They're, you know, there's some special people. You got Hector?
In fact,
Yeah, special guy, special story,
Very, very good.
unbelievable story.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny thing is Lauren Green used to be my supervisor years ago.
Where?
Dorchester Court. I was a victim witness advocate.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
Wow,
Well, sorry.
yeah, yeah.
She nice to you?
She was good. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, appreciate it. And I think our business is now officially concluded.
Great to see you, Governor. we're gonna start the hearing. For anybody in here who doesn't know me, I'm Terrence Kennedy, the council from the sixth district. We have Council Ferrara here so far, and we have Council Jacobs here so far. Everybody will be here momentarily. They're finishing their cheeseburger at the 21st Amendment. I'm gonna read a letter from the governor dated July 16, 2025 to the Executive Council. I am pleased to nominate Emily A. Karstetter to the position of Associate Justice of the Superior Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am enclosing the nominee's resume for convenience. Sincerely, Maura T. Healy, Governor. Want a copy of that? Never mind, it's over there. All right. Councilor Dolan has joined us. All right, so why don't you introduce everybody you brought with you?
All right, starting on my left, Justice Robert Brennan, the Appeals Court, the Honorable David Ethan Frank,
I would have started with your husband, but that's me. Later, it might have been a better idea.
It started. My husband, Attorney Michael Royman. Folks over there are backlit, but that is Attorney Peter Bellotti, Clerk Magistrate Erica Colombo, Court Officer Paul, I don't know your last name, I'm sorry. Chief Justice of the Superior Court, Rishuti, Derek Hesselheim, everybody knows. And so that is Jessica Cornetta. You should keep your eye on her. She is the intern in the judge's lobby of the Malden District Court this summer. Elizabeth Fisher and Elisa Wiley are the head administrative assistants of Malden District Court and Cambridge District Court, respectively. They are the glue that keeps those two courts together. And Superior Court Justice.
All right, we're gonna start with your first witness, the Honorable David Frank of the First Justice of the Cambridge District Court and Regional Administrative Justice.
Thank you very much, Councilor Kennedy. Members of the council, it's great to see.
Do not forget the most important law there is, law of brevity.
I have that law, although Judge Karstetter has often criticized me in that regard, but I'm gonna come through today.
Oh, she's complaining to me about you too. Thank you for your testimony.
Well. This isn't going as I planned. In all seriousness, it's an absolute pleasure to be before this council in support of my friend and a phenomenal judge, Emily Karstetter. I've known Judge Karstetter a long time. We've been judges for over a decade. But for the past 4 years, I've served as the first justice in Cambridge District Court. And because Cambridge and Malden are both located in Medford, Judge Karstetter and I have worked together literally every day. We talk every day. And she's not only a colleague, she is a friend and someone that I have the highest regard for. Because Cambridge and Malden share a building, there can be challenges, obviously, whenever two courts are operating under the same roof. And I can tell you without fail that whenever there's an issue, whenever we have to figure something out, it's collaborative. It is aimed at making sure that we can deliver justice to everybody that comes in the building, regardless of whether it's a Cambridge or a Malden matter that brings them there. Judge Karstetter is smart, thoughtful, kind. She is incredibly funny, great sense of humor, and she has empathy. She has qualities that have allowed her to shine in the district court for the last decade plus. And whenever somebody in the district court has a question, whenever somebody wants to bounce an idea or a case off someone, criminal, civil, whatever the case may be, Judge Karstetter is the first call. Judge Karstetter is brilliant, smart, all of that. But more important, and I'm almost done, Judge Karstetter. But more important, what Judge Karstetter really tries to do is just get to the right result. It is about empathy and understanding and making sure that everybody who comes into a district court, and if she's fortunate enough to be confirmed to the Superior Court, to make sure that everybody that comes into the building has an opportunity to be heard and has an opportunity to be treated as an individual and to be heard. And I always get that message from Judge Karstetter. The last thing I'll say, I've run a homeless court in Cambridge since I came to the building. And not that long ago, probably 6 months ago, 7 months ago, December, Judge Karstetter and I were putting a training together to other judges on some of the challenges that we face when dealing with unhoused members of our population. And it's a community that doesn't always, it takes a little while to build trust. And Judge Karstetter came in, and within 4 minutes, she had people sitting down and telling their stories to her in a way that demonstrated that she had built that trust in 4 minutes. It took me months and months, and she came in and showed off, and 4 minutes later had done it. So if she's confirmed, I will miss her. Her loss in the Malden District Court and in the District Court will create a tremendous void in what we do. But if she's fortunate enough to be confirmed, the Superior Court's gain will be the District Court's loss.
We have the honor of having the clerk magistrate from the Malden District Court. Who's the clerk magistrate in Cambridge?
Casey was her last name. She was a stranger to this building, but
Lauren 2.0?
Yeah, like Lauren 2.0, exactly. It's great to see you, Judge. It's great to have you. It's interesting you brought up the homeless court, because we had a nominee this morning for district court who talked about the time that she was homeless. So it was that was pretty powerful testimony. It's great to see you. Does anybody have any questions for Judge Frank? Be careful, he might go on for a long time.
I just want to say thank you. I'm sorry, good.
Good.
I just want to say thank you for your service, and I've heard great things from you, about you from our friend Sharon Casey and others as well. So thank you for your service.
thank you very much, Counsel.
He's terrific. It's a great.
Councilor Dolan, did you have a question?
No, I had worked with retired Judge Kratzley through the Outdoor Church, and I know he's worked with him before. I'd love to talk to you after, but.
Absolutely, I'd love to do that.
And Judge Frank has spent a lot of time in this chamber, not only as a nominee, but for a very long time. He was the reporter for Lawyers Weekly and was here covering us. We remember that. He's been around here for a long time. He's wrote some pretty awful stuff. Thank you, Judge. All right, that's those in favor of the nominee. Is there anybody in opposition? Judge Brennan, is that why you're here?
Never.
Hearing none, we'll close that. And your statement, please.
So I want to say first, thank you to Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for this nomination. I want to say thank you to all of the members of the Governor's Council for your time with me before today and for your time and attention today. It is clear to me that you all take it very, very seriously, and I appreciate you for that. I want to say thank you to Sonia Altamirano and her team for shepherding me through this process. And I want to say thank you to my friends and family who are here and on YouTube, apparently. In thinking about what to say in this moment, I looked back on my 62 years, and a few turning points in my life came to mind immediately. So I want to talk about those turning points. The first was when my family moved to Athens, Greece. I was 15 years old, and up until then, we had lived modestly in the various places that my father's job in academia. In Greece, suddenly there were people speaking a different language, eating different food, listening to different music. They were steeped in a history before recorded time. It was a very different culture. And I was old enough to strike out into that newness without having to worry about the roof over my head. So I spent my last 2 years of high school with friends who were Greek, who taught me new perspectives on the world and on my origins. Having moved around a fair amount up until then, Pennsylvania, New York, Texas, Maine, I had learned to adapt to new situations quickly and to embrace the new. But in Greece, I learned a new culture altogether and to appreciate the beauty of differences. The next turning point was when my mother, who had followed my father around for decades, oh God, this is kind of choking up, was working various jobs at the colleges where he was working. She decided to go to law school. She was 53 or 54 at the time, and she took a sample law school admission test and did better on it than my father. And so she thought that must be her destiny. And so she was working full-time at John Hancock and went to law school at night. At the time, I did not realize what a feat this was, but I learned what a feat it was when I decided to listen to her urging and go to law school with her. We attended together at night. We worked full-time during the day. We even took a class together. And while in law school, I realized that I wanted to be a litigator, to be in court. I am forever grateful that my mother's courage and nagging helped me find my passion. She's an inspiration at 91 years old. She's not me too. And she's still playing softball. I'm very proud of her and indebted to her. My father also went to law school at an advanced age, graduated when he was 69, and his influence on me is immeasurable as well. Another important day in my life was when I met Michael Raymond, and for God's sakes, what is wrong with me? So I could not have made it to this point without him, my husband, to whom I've been married since my swearing in as a district court judge in 2012, but who has been with me since 1993. His intellect, his belief in me, his buying me my first saxophone, his putting up with me, his encouragement. I can't imagine being here without him. I am fortunate to have gotten to know both of his remarkable parents and to have his two exceptional and accomplished children, Sarah and Alexander, both lawyers, married to lawyers, in my life with him. Then in 1998, having followed my passion for being in a courtroom and working for the mock trial coach who led me to it, Peter Bellotti, I struck out on my own and became a bar advocate representing a population of people whose challenges and experiences had been a complete unknown to me. They were poor people. They were people of color, people with mental illness, people with histories of serious trauma, people without a voice. Being their voice in court was deeply rewarding and a deeply humbling experience. I learned to stand in awe of what they had to carry and not to judge them for how they carried it. Brian Stevenson said that each of us is more than the worst thing we have ever done. Understanding that the moment that brought my clients to court was not what defined them has served me well in my effort to be a compassionate and fair judge. Of course, the next turning point was when I became a district court judge. And for the last 13 years, I have had the great honor and privilege to fill this important role. I have served on several committees, most proudly on the Education Committee, on the Appellate Division, and as a first justice. I have enjoyed the fellowship of my colleagues, and I have strived to connect with the communities we serve. So now I hope to take the next bend in the road to the Superior Court. My parents have shown me the importance of learning and continuing to grow, perhaps especially later in life. The Superior Court offers me that opportunity, and I hope that I can bring to it what I have learned, and that who I have become will serve the public well in the role of Associate Justice of the Superior Court. Thank you very much. I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
We're gonna go slightly out of order. Council Ferreira, did you have a motion you want to make? That's denied, but go ahead.
May I have it reconsidered, please?
Council Ferreira's gonna go first.
You know, I have to question your wisdom because not many people want to go from the district court to the Superior Court these days. And I was a clerk there, and I appreciate that, you know, you have the desire to do that because it's a lot more work in my estimation. And you know, you've done great things, heard great things about you. You got a huge friend to my left right here, Councilor Kennedy. I read your Boston retirement decision, which I think is apropos and like right on point. Someone has served 30 years in law enforcement. I think you got it right.
Thank you.
And I think you're gonna make a great judge. You have my vote next week. Thank you.
Council Jacobs.
Thank you. Good to see you.
thanks for coming out and I enjoyed, we talked about a lot of things that I really enjoyed the conversation that we have. I don't have any questions for you today. I've got one. I just wanted to opportunity to talk about something from your application that you're listing as something that you're proud of, and it's we did talk a little bit about your work on the appellate division of district court, which I find fascinating. And this one specifically, you talk about published opinion surrounding the right to self-representation in the mental health hearing. So I just want to give you a chance to elaborate on the issue itself and what the opinion was and in what way you believe it will impact district court proceedings going forward.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. That was sort of an important decision because one of the objectives, I think, of the appellate division is to help education of our colleagues. And in that case, it started and it went over several days, which is a little bit unusual for a mental health commitment hearing. And there was a decision from the Supreme Judicial Court in the midst of all of it that had to do with hearsay. And so my colleague on the district court had decided to start the hearing over again at one point. But at each point and at each day that the hearing was conducted, the respondent, the mentally ill patient, expressed a desire to represent himself. And he did it clearly and unequivocally. And unfortunately, my colleague took the view that, and as we all often do, that it's better for him to be represented and that his lawyer was doing a good job in representing him. Unfortunately, that is not the standard. And so the decision, I think, will help guide other district court judges in understanding that first you have to determine if they're competent to waive the right to counsel, which has little to do with competence to represent yourself. But so that's what the decision was about. And really the objective is to help our colleagues understand law on the civil side.
Well, I appreciate that. And to me, that speaks also to the broader point you talk about here and there on just respect, the importance of respect in our courts and from the bench and from all parties. And so I appreciate you mentioning you highlighting this specific instance in your application. I don't have any further questions. We talked about so many things. It
was great to
have a lot of respect for the work you've been doing and it was really great to get to know you. So.
Thank you.
Council Civil.
Thank you. Congratulations, Justice Emily, for your nomination. My question for you is that since being a district court judge, what do you think you'll bring to the Superior Court judge that you feel would be very implemental to our community?
The sort of difference between district court and superior court, and I do not mean to denigrate the district court by making this comparison. I've heard it described, and I think I might have mentioned this to a number of you, as the difference between playing Jeopardy and writing a PhD thesis, or watching TikTok videos, or watching a full-length movie. I have been through Jeopardy, Double Jeopardy, and Final Jeopardy, and I'm ready to write a PhD thesis. I'm looking forward to the intellectual challenge of the Superior Court, being able to do a deep dive and having a perhaps potentially a broader impact on the community that the Superior Court serves than the District Court does.
Thank you for that, because we had a great conversation yesterday in regards to life within itself. You know, we try to do our best, and it's good to always go a step higher than where we are now so that we can actually contribute, because we're always learning, we're always evolving, and it's important for us that the work that we have done, that it continues. So, and if that means going to the next level, then certainly we need to do that in order to pass the baton on to the next generation. So you definitely have my full support.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Remember when my daughter was on Jeopardy? Alicia was, remember?
She was what?
On Jeopardy.
I do. Twice, right?
She was done Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but Jeopardy, she was 12, she's 37 now. You remember it. Yeah. Council Dolan.
yet another reason to vote for you. Of course, Counselor Kennedy had talked to me about you. I really enjoyed our conversation. I thought you were perfectly marvelous. And people talk about judicial temperament, which you obviously have, but there's another factor that I think is important, which is likability. You're incredibly likable, and I think that judges can help folks understand things a lot better. The judges is likable. So that was all really good. And I really enjoyed our conversation, and I remember you said you might get choked up when you talked about your mother. I didn't think that I would, and I did. I'm so glad that she's watching. She must be, she is staying with pride, it's an absolutely beautiful story. I just want to ask you a couple of questions. I'm obviously going to vote for you. One of those questions is a promise that I made to my constituents. As a Superior Court judge, you will be the only judge in Massachusetts who hears cases involving people 15 and younger who seek an abortion. I believe that decision should be solely between a patient and their doctor, and I wanted to get your views on that, on the record.
It is such a difficult decision, and particularly so for someone so young. And it would be my hope that I would do as little as possible to re-traumatize them or make the process of doing that petition any more difficult than it already is, and would ask the minimum necessary for them to make out the petition.
Thank you very much for that answer. And I know that that is exactly what you will do. My other question is about long motions, which we talked about, Commonwealth versus Long, which is an incredibly important decision. It has the power to end racial profiling in Massachusetts. And yet, very few long motions have ever been allowed. And I personally am doubtful that it's because so few lack merit. So I asked your thoughts about that, and you talked about implicit bias, which I thought was an incredibly important point. So if we could just take this opportunity, I am trying to follow the law of brevity, but I also want to educate people. So if you can talk about that and how that applies to long motions, I think that would be really helpful.
So one of the things I mentioned to you yesterday when we talked about this was that I don't see a lot of them. I think I've seen 2 since Long was decided, and it has been in both occasions, the Commonwealth agreed to produce all of the discovery that was sought by the first step. And then what I saw next was a request by the Commonwealth to reconsider that and perhaps cut back on how much was being ordered. And then what we're seeing, I think, in the district court, and I certainly don't want to generalize for all of the district courts, Trent can maybe help me with this, is the Commonwealth sort of resolving the cases before we even get to a decision on whether or not there was some pretext for the stop. You asked me to talk about implicit bias. One of the things that the district court has is a robust education program and a committee on race and ethnic fairness. And when Ralph Gantz was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Judicial Court, review jury instructions that were written to give strategies for combating implicit bias. And I think you voiced a concern about judges not wanting to second guess law enforcement too much. And I think what my point was when we were talking yesterday was that we all have implicit bias, and it's helpful for us all to recognize that and to understand what the strategies are for combating implicit bias, all of which are in a lovely jury instruction that we give at every trial, including civil trials. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I very much appreciate your answer to that question. I have no further questions. Thank you so much. Counselor Kennedy?
Thank you so much, Counselor. Congratulations on your nomination. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me the other day. I did also enjoy our conversation and getting to know you a little bit more. We talked about your experience, your 13 years in the court. And I enjoyed your comments around your dedication to educating yourself and learning different strategies that you would bring to the bench. You also highlighted your racial equity committee of the district court. And when I asked you if that was something that you'd look to continue, you did say that was something you would be looking to continue in the Superior Court if the opportunity presents itself. I did want to dive a little bit more into how you would see yourself expanding your impact on the community from the Superior Court bench.
I think one of the ways that Superior Court judges can connect with the communities, not just in writing their decisions on the cases that they hear, but also in reaching out to schools and young people. Something that I very much enjoyed when I sat in Salem with Judge Brennan was we started a law day there and brought high school kids in from probably a half a dozen of the local high schools, both public and private. We had them fill out a jury questionnaire. We talked to them about the impanelment process. And it's activities like that that I particularly enjoy. I've done it as the first justice in Malden as well, gone out to schools and spoke to kids. So I think that's one way I would want to continue to connect with the community on the Superior Court.
I think that's immensely impactful. Just thinking back on myself as a young person being involved in mock trials and going to the courts and things of that nature, that does, you know, really widen or broaden a young person's view of the court system and justice.
The way, the scariness of it a little.
Right, right. And that, you know, this process is not a reach, if you will. The other thing that I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about, we talked about how you would approach your first 3 years on the bench. I asked you a lot of tough questions and we spoke. I remember you saying, "Oh, interesting question." But I appreciate your candor and your willingness to answer my questions in our first meeting, because it gave me a good sense of who you were and how you would approach the bench. And I did ask you this question too when we met, but I wanted to, in the public forum, ask how you would approach your first 3 years.
What did I say then?
You did, I did say that. I also give you some pointers too on what you said, right? You said that you would continue to expand your education, to look for strategies to increase efficiencies within the court system itself, and to support your colleagues in that endeavor as well.
I love
You sound good.
I also said I would.
So your answer is ditto?
I think I also said I would need to get my feet under me for at least the first part of it as well. I certainly recognize that I for all that I have 13 years of experience on the district court, this is a new thing that I'm going to have to learn. There will be some learning curve too. So yes, ditto.
Yes. And I appreciate that as well, to understand that in a position of such great power and impact that you approach it with humility, right? We know what we don't know, right? No matter how much education we get, there's always something new to learn and new areas to grow in. So I appreciate that. So thank you so much. Congratulations on your nomination as well. Thank you.
I'm just gonna make one comment, and that is that after your first hearing, I received a really, really nice letter from your father.
Now you're gonna make me cry again, Tara.
What's that?
Gonna make me cry again.
I'm working on it. No, I received I knew your father and I know your mother. He sent me a beautiful letter talking about how proud he was of you, and I know he was here today. He probably be sending me another one. So that's it. Done.
Thank you, everyone.